Search across the land, look far and wide. Release from my hand the power that's inside.
Venomoth, Poliwag, Nidorino, Golduck, Ivysaur, Grimer, Victreebel, Moltres, Nidoking, Farfetch, Abra, Jigglypuff, Kingler, Rhyhorn, Clefable, Wigglytuff.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokémon.
Hey, I know. I'll use my trusty frying pan as a drying pan. Meows with it. Meows, pizza, yumsy, yum.
Alright, okay, next we have, with the introduction of Sun and Moon, we have the introduction of Ultra Beasts to the trading card game. They work like regular basic Pokemon, but like the game, because the game, these Ultra Beasts are incredibly powerful, but they're also they're glass cannons pretty much. They're frail. You can do a lot of damage with them at the outset, but they're not good for longevity. And I believe this is almost kind of the same thing in the trading card game. Granted, this Blastoise is actually a really good card. That's why I have about 2 or 3 in my deck. It really can screw over the opponent. So there's also a number of Ultra Beast cards that work in their favor as well. So you have to be worried about how you use them, what they add to your deck, how they can support other Pokemon, but unless they've made cards where they're actually tanky and bulky and can last by themselves, which there very well may be, if you have enough cards, you could make an Ultra Beast deck. I wouldn't recommend it, because they are good for supporting other good cards, but when they have their GX forms, you can kind of build a deck around them, so like any other Pokemon. So it depends on what your taste is, really. I haven't researched too much into them, so I'm only kind of talking from my own experience in using various Ultra Beast cards. Alright, so now we're going to take a little bit of a step back, because I think these are still technically legal in the current rotation if you're doing the expanded format. So what I want to explain now is that currently, I think in the trading card game, there are 3 formats, 3 or 4. There's like theme format from you can get a pre-release box, or you can build a deck around the current set that has been released. I think those are themed or pre-release tournaments. But then you have your standard, expanded, and I think it's called Legacy. I don't know if there is any official tournaments for them. And Legacy is you can use any card from the beginning of the series. So you can have a whole deck of base set cards ready to go. You'd get probably thrashed because other people would use other combinations of broken cards. But I don't believe they hold those very regularly, and if they do, I believe there are, I think, somewhat heavy sanctions in place to prevent cheesing and stuff like that. But then the most common are expanded and standard. Standard comes from the most recent set of games released. For example, current standard would be anything released from the Sun and Moon series. So anything prior to that cannot be used. Expanded, on the other hand, is you can use a whole bunch of cards from previous generations. Right now, I think it still goes as far back as Black and White, I think. I'd have to look it up because rules change all the time, but I believe with Sun and Moon you can use, in the expanded format, you can use anywhere from Black and White to Sun and Moon. So let's look at some of these cards. So the first thing you have is your EX card, and this is the first full art card I pulled somehow from fucking Evolutions back in Canada. I love the Dragonite card. I haven't been able to effectively use it in the decks I was building at the time, since I was new to playing the game. But this is your EX. So unlike a GX, EXs are basic Pokemon for the most part. Are basic Pokemon, so you don't need a Dragon, for example, a Dratini or a Dragonair to use this card. It plays as if it was a basic card. You put it down and you play it. Alright? It doesn't have high HP. Its attack is alright. Hyper Beam is fine. I mean, you have a lot stronger cards. It's a beautiful card, but this is your EX. The rule for an EX is that every time if it's knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards instead of 1, because it's generally a stronger card, and at the same time, it does not need any sort of rules to evolve it. You can play it as it is, and then Bob's your uncle there. Next, we have break cards. These came out a couple of years ago. Cool, neat little cards with the kind of square pattern background and golden Pokemon. For example, if I had a Ninetales in play, I could technically evolve that Ninetales into a break card. So there are rules. Let me see. Oh, so it does retain the it retains the attacks. Let's zoom in on that, because that's interesting. Forgot about that. So it's not only I guess and it's not really an evolution. It's more of an add-on, actually. That's my bad misinformation there. So let's if I can fucking zoom this, it'd be nice. So Ninetales Break retains the attacks, abilities, weakness, resistance, and retreat cost of its previous evolution. So I'd have to find let me find my Ninetales, for fuck's sakes. Alright, so for example, if I were to play my Break on top of it, this break card basically adds Explosive Fireball to this Ninetales card, and I can use any of the attacks, and if it did have an ability, I'd be able to use that ability as well. I think still in the current meta, there's this really fucking broken Greninja deck that I think one of the champions used, when I started playing it back in Canada, the shopkeeper fucking destroyed me with that same deck, just to show me that there are decks out there like that. Nice guy, really nice guy though. So anybody from Toronto watching this, actually, and especially in Markham, go to Three Kingdoms game on Three Kingdoms games? Yeah, Three Kingdoms games. Really cool guys, and they're very nice, and they'll help you through everything, and they don't cheat you. Like, they don't weigh their packs, they don't do any of that stuff. They're really cool guys. Anyways, going back to the point at hand, yes, those are the break cards, and they're still in rotation, I believe, so you can still use them. But the Greninja deck, yeah, like it had the Greninja break had it rotate out a Greninja card every time it attacked or something. It didn't even count as the main attack. It's a really fucked card. So pretty much you'd end up getting like attacked 4 times in one turn, and then there you go, you're dead. Yeah. Anyways, here we have a Mega Charizard EX. So, unlike other EXs, this one has to be, because it's a Mega Evolution, with Charizard Spirit Link, it has to be evolved from a Charizard EX, a card I do not currently have. So it would be illegal to evolve it with a Spirit Link from a regular Charizard. It has to be evolved from Charizard EX. Okay, now moving on to Sun and Moon and the current kind of evolution of EX into GX. So these are your GX cards. Like EX cards, if they're knocked out, you take 2 prize cards. But generally, GX cards have to be evolved from a previous Pokemon. So this Keldeo here is just a basic Pokemon, but this Charizard here, see how there's a Charmeleon in the corner? It has to be evolved, and most GXs have to actually be evolved. And I think that for the most part they are stronger than EXs. So they're a lot stronger. You have a GX attack at the bottom that can really fuck over your opponent, and you can only use it once a turn. So once you use your GX attack, if you have another GX in your deck, you cannot use that attack. You'd have to rely on its primary attacks. The great thing about this Keldeo that I really like is that it prevents any damage done from GX or EX cards. So if you're going up against a really powerful tag team GX and you need to stall for a little bit of time, throwing this fucker out from Sky Legend set, of course, not released in Canada or the States right now, I believe. You throw this fucker out, and you can stall for a little bit of time if you need it. But regular Pokemon can knock this guy out. Alright, so next, and the very last one, this is your tag team card. So once again, I'm showing this off because I love this card so goddamn much. But this is your tag team. So tag teams are a new thing released in the Sun and Moon series, comprised of now 2 or more Pokemon. As you can see, the 3 birds here, but generally 2 Pokemon. Incredibly powerful cards. God, the shine is just killing me. So incredibly powerful cards, generally with very high HP, combining, I guess, generally both Pokemon. Really ridiculous attacks. They have their own GX attack, as usual, as regular GXs do. They take some time to set up, generally, but once you get them going, they are destroying machines. They'll just fucking tear you apart. The downside is that if one of these guys are knocked out, your opponent takes 3 prize cards. So you got to be very careful and really strategize around how you're going to make most use out of this GX without putting yourself in danger. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be a long one. I might have to split this up into 2 parts, unfortunately. But yeah, these are all the different types of cards. All the different types of cards that are in the current meta that you can use, that are viable. So there's a lot of customization in the Pokemon trading card game. It's up to you on how you want to make your own deck. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic of basically the opening stages of a Pokemon trading card game. Okay, now that we've gotten the card explanations out of the way, let's start with the initial setup for the game. So, you have your 2 decks here. Okay, so the way I'm going to set this up is that since I'm only here by myself shooting, generally the other deck would be on the other side of the table. So you'd be playing from across the table, obviously, but I can only do so much as one person. So we're going to do it this way. So you have your 2 decks right here. Ooh, jeez. So the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously shuffle your deck. So I'm going to give him a quick shuffle off camera, and then we'll get right back into